yeah, 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 look, ball player, no watching from the side. Said that you got him next, well go ahead and show him why. No limits in the sky, go ahead and take your shot. This one is for the city, let's show him how we rock. Coaches used to call my phone, what you doing, just got home.
I went to college at Cheney State, HBCU school, and Coach John Cheney was actually my physical education teacher at that time, and he was also the men's basketball coach. They were really good. They had won the national championship maybe the year, 2 years before that in Division II. And Coach Vivian Stringer, who's now at Rutgers, was the women's coach. They were phenomenal. The women were so good that when we played pickup games, we would choose some of the women on our side, okay? Because if you allow them to play together, they would whip out behind, so to speak, okay? They were that good. So from there, after I graduated, the OGs in my town, Roosevelt, Long Island, asked me to get involved because obviously they were getting of age, and they said, look, Gary, we're there for you. We need some people to get to be there for these young kids who are coming up. How could I refuse? Because without them, I'm not sure where I would have been, because they were unbelievable to me and our 1 square mile town. And understand our 1 square mile town, that because we're in the suburb, so every season you play that particular sport, and they were all there for us, travel, whatever. So we play basketball. I play basketball, baseball, football, track and field. I even bowl. Okay, there was no such thing about you staying home. You were active. Okay,
right.
So, and these old heads were there for us in every single aspect of all of that. So I had to say yes. So initially, I created like a 200-300 basketball event in Roosevelt. A league, and within that league, I picked the top players, and I said, let me travel with them. About 2 or 3 tournaments, and one of them was the Little Lad, and the Little Lad at the time was in Jersey, and the Little Lad was something that I played in when I was young, so that's how I knew about the Little Lad. And through those events, I found out that there was a bigger picture out there, and we played a game against a player who dropped 40 on us, and I said, what's going on here? Because I wasn't expecting this. I'm with my little guys from Long Island, right? And the kid's name was Travis Best, okay? Mm-hmm. And that opened up my eyes as to the opportunity that was out there. So then we go to Little Lad. So that tournament was in Delaware. It was called a Jim Duty, the Delaware Shootout, by a gentleman by the name of Jim Duty. So we go to the Little Lad, and I see a young kid. Guys, let me say this to y'all. He walked in the gym. He looked like a pro. He walked like a pro. He acted like a pro. And he's carrying the balls now. He's the one carrying the balls in his back with just his presence. I didn't know who he was. And I'm like, hey, guys, we're not leaving yet, because I wanted to see the kid play. I watched this kid play, and I said, whoa. And the kid turned out to be Stephon Marbury.
Right.
That's fun. Wait, that's funny that it's Stephon Marbury, but looking like a pro, because I played against him in CYO, like all my CYO years, and I was a year older than him, and we were on the 5th grade team. He was on the 4th grade team. He looked like a pro in 4th grade.
Okay,
correct.
So I'm telling you, I'm not sure if at the time he was more than 12 or 13 when I saw him. Okay. That's what I'm telling you, how young he was. And Khalid, let me tell you who was coaching him. It was Dermot Player was coaching him in a program called Young Life.
Right.
It wasn't the Gauchos then, it was Young Life. But after the game, the Gauchos were playing. So I watched him a little bit, and I'm like, wow, coach, you guys are really good. And I said, yeah, let me go. Our season is over. Now, this is March. He said, your season is over. I'm like, yeah, our season is over. He said, man, let me tell you something. If you really want to get good at this, you better play this 24/7. I had never heard the term 24/7. Again now, understand where I'm coming from now. I'm like, 24/7? He said, yeah. Every single day of the week, all day, 24 hours, 7 days a week. I'm like, oh, okay. That's what you mean, because I'm about to get these guys ready for baseball. Okay.
Right.
And he's saying, we're just getting started. So think about this, Khalid. that this is the end of March. I'm saying we're done.
Right.
And as you know right
At the
now,
end of
that's just
March.
the
Yeah,
beginning.
that's the beginning.
That's just the beginning. So that was my education, at that time. So then I realized that I didn't have to deal with some of these knuckleheads. I need to go out there and get the better players in Long Island to give them the opportunity for exposure, okay? Because no one knew. None of these coaches in Long Island was really getting scholarship for these kids. It was like, go to your JUCO, go to D2, whatever, or once the season was over, I'll see you next season. Because they were teachers.
Right.
They weren't thinking about working with these kids every single day. That's not the way it was back then. Out here, maybe certain coaches in the city, but definitely not out here, in Long Island. And remember now, there wasn't a traveling team in Long Island at the time. I was the first one. And then I went through stuff because they thought I was up to something. So that took a while for them to understand I was in this for the right reason. And I think it helped in that when I got with Sonny, and that I was getting them free shoes at their school. So that helped schmooze them over. But my world totally changed meeting Sonny Vaccaro. That changed everything. I received a phone call from Howard Garfinkel one day who said, Gary, do you know Sonny Vaccaro? Have you heard his name? I was like, yeah, I've heard of his name. Well, he would like to meet you. For what, Mr. Garfinkel? Well, he's about to start a camp. He left Nike and he wants to create his own camp. And he wants your kid. At that time, my kid, Zenon Hamilton, was considered top 5 in the country, along with Felipe, Allen Iverson, Antoine Walker. And I think Danny Forson might have been the other one, but that was the top 5 at the time, however you want to pick it. So I said, okay, before cell phone, fellas, this is before cell phones.
Right.
And so he said, okay, he'll call you soon. I said, okay. I hang up the phone. I'm like, wow, Sonny Vaccaro, the guy who gave Michael Jordan a shoe deal. Right. I'm not thinking. So I hang up the phone and I go take a shower. I stick one foot in the tub and the phone goes boom. I'm like, who's this now? I take my foot out, grab the phone. Gary Charles? Yes. Sonny Vaccaro's here. That quick. I'm telling you, maybe it's 2 minutes. Okay? So Golf must have called him. Sonny must have hung up, said, I'm calling right now. And Sonny called and he said to me, come to the Final Four in Minnesota. He said, you ever been? I said, I've never been. He said, why don't you come to the Final Four and then we can really talk. I get to the Final Four, and if you guys ever been there, the hotel where all the coaches are at, it's like a meat market. It is unreal.
It's crazy.
And in the middle of all this, one person sticks out. It was the biggest head I've ever seen in my life. It was unbelievable. And that head was John Thompson's head. Okay? Just stuck out. But of course, I can't find Sonny, so I called the room and he said, come on up. I go upstairs. He's in a robe, okay? In a robe. And I looked over and his wife is in a robe, Pam. One of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life. Now, again, remember the time, guys. So, like, what? I'm looking at Sonny, I'm looking at her. Something's not matching here. This woman is gorgeous over here. Top belly, whoa. What's going on? Now, you know how we are here in the city, right? So he's going on with his pitch. So he finally goes, I'm going to need you. I'm going to make you my first guy, give a shoe deal to, blah, 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 look out. And I'm going to need you to get other people who want to start the Grassroots. I have a vision. I want you to be part of that vision. Are you with me? And he sticks out his hand. He said, all we need is a handshake. I'm a handshake guy. So I look at him. Then I looked at Pam. I looked at him. Then I looked at Pam again. So I come back and I said to myself, any man that looked like him, that could get a woman that looked like her, must know what he's doing. I'm in, baby.
Oh, wow.
Sonny loves that story. But it's true. Because you know what? I'm like, this man must know what he's doing. And obviously, it's been unbelievable ever since. And it's amazing in that we went as a program from writing our numbers on a T-shirt. From now all of a sudden, him saying, go to the convention hall, go order some uniforms. And I went and ordered some uniforms. And I remember we put those uniforms on and it was at the Delaware Shootout again.
Mm.
It was almost we had been transformed into a great program. Okay, you know,
Right.
like,
Just from
Right.
the uniform.
it was,
Yeah.
you
That
know,
makes a
it really,
difference.
it was special. It was
Yep.
special, and that's how we, you know, we end up getting started. But moving forward, I got close with Joe Bryant's, with Joe Bryant, you know, Kobe's dad, because he was recruiting a player for my program, and he was the assistant coach at LaSalle. And most people forget that he was coaching. So because he was a dad, he was allowed to go to any tournament. And back then, 8 or 9 of the tournaments were during the dead period. We didn't care. We just balling.
Right.
So a lot of the tournament, he's there. Okay, even their other coaches couldn't be there. So he would watch us play, and then he would ask me to watch his son play. And it was always a thing. Joe would say, "Did you see that jump shot that he made?" And then Kobe would run down the court. "Hey, did you see that jump shot?" I'm like, "Yeah." So come back. Kobe would dunk, boom. And then the dad would like rip me. "Did you see that dunk?" I'm like, "Yeah." Kobe come down. "Did you see that dunk?" "Yeah." What the hell is this? You know? But that's the way they both were. And that's the way Kobe was. Kobe was probably the most ferocious player I ever saw. Him and Kevin Garnett were the two. Okay. Kobe would beat his mama, you know, 20 zip. Okay. That was his mindset. That was Kobe. And we kept talking. And I had to tell Sonny one day, and I said, you know, if Felipe don't get upset. But I went to Sonny one day and I said, "Sonny, you know who the next guy is?" He said, "Well, yeah, we got Felipe coming." I'm like, "Nah, Sonny, it's this kid named Kobe Bryant." He's like, "What?" He said, "His dad played for me at the Round Ball." I said, "Sonny, his son is special." Of course, Kobe come to the camp and everything else. And guys, let me tell you this. Again, remember that's before cell phone. At some point, Joe and I have a conversation in that Kobe wants to go pro out of high school. Now, that was unheard of. Kevin Garnett did it. Look, Kevin Garnett was 6'10".
Right.
The last one. But Kobe was 6'6". So people never looked at that. You know, Moses Malone had done it, but again, you know, tall guys. So I said to the dad, "Don't tell anyone." Because now I don't want anyone, when I say anyone, I meant Nike really, to come after me. Okay? So we are literally now, Joe and I, because now we're having a meeting. But let me tell you what's crazy, guys. And understand, it might sound funny now, but this is the way it was back then. If you went home, you just didn't get that damn phone call. So I would drive to Philly to have a meeting with him. He would drive to Long Island to have a meeting with me, okay? And actually one time, I forgot we had a meeting. I missed it. And when he finally got me a week later, he said, "What happened to our meeting?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "We were supposed to meet at your house." I said, "What? How long did you wait?" He said, 2 hours. I said, "What did you do?" He said, "Well, I was counting your flowers. You had the pink ones, the purple one, blah, blah, blah." He said, "That's right." And we laughed, but that's what was going on back then. If you didn't get the person at home, you just didn't get them. That's how it was. So then Sonny moved to New York City. So people thought now Sonny was moving to New York City because of Felipe, because he was at St. John.
Right.
And Lamar Odom, who we now knew was coming up. Because now at some point I said, "Sonny, we got another one." Okay. So people thought he moved for that. No, it was Kobe. And what we would do, and it was another gentleman, it was 3 of us. We used to call ourselves the 3 Musketeers. It was Sonny and I and Thad Fouché. Okay. It was the 3 of us. Thad was not
the super agent.
Super agent now. He's a super agent.
Yeah, super agent now.
Thad was the grassroots coach for the New Orleans Jazz. Okay? This is important. So it was the 3 of us. So he'll fly in. We would drive to Philly and watch the Villanova game. Why? Kerry Kittles was playing for Villanova at the time. Kerry Kittles played for Thad. So people thought we're trying to get Kerry, right? Kobe Bryant lived 5 minutes from Villanova. So that was the pretense. So we always timed it when Villanova was playing there. Game was over. We say quick goodbye to Kerry. Love you. Okay? Get in our car and take off to Kobe's house and the family. Okay? And I thought it was so funny because I remember one time Sonny was eating and he took his coffee, he poured in his cereal, and we had a conversation. I'm like, "Damn, did you just pour coffee in your cereal?" He said, yeah, that's the thing I have. I'm like, damn, Sonny, okay. A lot of things about people when you get closer and closer.
Right.
That never left my mind. But that was the making of getting a deal put together though with Kobe Bryant. Now, here's something that people don't know. Now they're gonna know. With Kobe Bryant now coming to Adidas, Nike, when they found out, raised all kind of hell. How did we miss out on that? And obviously some of the people were saying, well, Gary Charles, but who else is Gary Charles? Okay. They created their grassroots division. So that's why I tell people sometimes, put a little oomph to your damn voice when you mention Sonny's name, my name, or Kobe's name, because you know it helped create a lot of jobs. Under Armour, Reebok, Adidas, wherever you are, it all stemmed from Kobe Bryant with the signing of Kobe Bryant. Okay, now everyone felt they had to have a grassroots program to get the next one. So that was the beginning.
Wow.
Who are some of the other guys? Because you were affiliated with a lot of pros. Who are some of the other guys that you worked with from that time to now?
Out of our program, that Khalid was a big part of that. Also beside Lamar, we coached. We had Danny Green, Joe Kim Noah, Speedy Claxton, Lance Stevens.
I gotta ask you this before you go, Gee. Before you go ahead, this might get you in trouble. Who are your top 5 Panthers of all time?
Oh,
here we go. Here we go. Here we go. People have asked me that, and I've tried to avoid it like the plague. Okay, it's like right now I try to avoid it like the pandemic right now, right? So, first of all, the first one is easy. Lamar Odom was the most talented player that I've ever coached. Okay?
Right.
Period. So Lamar is one. I think it would be hard for me to leave Wally Szczerbiak out. Wally Szczerbiak was the best shooter I ever had. Wally Szczerbiak at Iowa State, guys, in the beginning, we won 3 straight championships at Iowa State when we first came on. We were one of the team that people tell you that helped create Iowa State to what it had become, because the Gauchos and Riverside weren't playing in there. So we decided to start to play, and then other teams started to come. Wally Szczerbiak ended up being the MVP one year. We won it 3 straight times, but remember it was a spring, fall, spring.
Right.
We did that. So Wally would be, and Pete, by the way, had a great line about Wally. He would go, Wally Szczerbiak doesn't care nothing about you.
That's Pete Edwards. Shout out to Pete Edwards, man. The legendary tournament director.
Was Szczerbiak's father was a player, or he was some kind of player in the game?
His father at that time was a scout for overseas, and he was a former player. He was good. He had actually played in Sonny's game. So I never forget when I called Sonny to say, Sonny, I have a kid. I really need you to put him in the camp. He said, what's the kid's name? I said, Wally Szczerbiak. He said, Walt Szczerbiak, son! I said, yes. He said, what? I said, yeah, Sonny, and he's good. So Wally, I would say to you, is on that team. Okay?
That's number 2.
That's 2.
That's 2. Now, we've had phenomenal guards. And that's what makes it difficult. Because Skip Tamalu was unbelievable. Okay? Skip was real. I'm not sure if we lost too many games with Speedy Claxton. Speedy Claxton, people won't remember. When we were beating Riverside at that time, that's why, I think Eric Barkley, he put something out there that he never lost to the Panthers 3 times. No, you did. You did. and then I put it out on Instagram because I'm like, okay, now you want me, I have to show you what we did. And what was the amazing thing about it, and this is why Speedy would have to be one, even though maybe some other guys are whatever. We won Portchester. Y'all remember the CYP tournament in Portchester?
I do.
Speedy got the MVP. Now, let me tell you a true story about that one, okay? And, I'm going back and forth, but it's good stories. We win the MVP, but I have to rush. And I'm rushing because I think we had a meeting in the city with Joe Bryant and Sonny. We're in the city. I'm not sure about that time. So, hey, I'm proud, man. We just beat Riverside. We have beaten Riverside in the championship. So I hauled down 95 to get in the city, and I had my trophy in my hand. I'm proud. I take my trophy. And you know, Sonny, he's living large, so he's got a big old suite and everything, right? I run in there, I'm like, we won. And I'm running around the room with my trophy and everything, right? And Joe's sitting there smiling. And Sonny looked at me like, will you sit your ass down? We're about to cut a deal for $2 million and you worry about some damn tournament somewhere. And so Joe busts out laughing. I'm like, but Sonny, it's Portchester. You don't understand, baby. So, you know, so I always remember that. And Joe's reminded me that. So Speedy has to be on there just because of where he took us to. Okay?
Right.
And here's the thing I tell people all the time. When you ask people, what do you mean about your best player? Because here's what happened. Are you talking about the guys that became your best pros?
Right.
Or are you talking about at that time? Because it's different, as we know. It's kind of like Sonny asked me. Sonny's doing his book. His book's about finished. And he said to me, Gary, I need you to tell me our all-time ABCD campers. And I said, are you talking about the ones back then? Or the guys who became big-time pros who maybe didn't have as good of a camp?
Right.
There's a difference. Because most people remember the big names, even though maybe they weren't the people there. So Speedy Claxton did so much for us, it would be hard for me to leave him out.
And he's a pro. On top of that, he was a pro.
9-10 years, right?
Yeah.
No, he was a pro. Unreal. All right. Now this is where it gets tricky, because let's say if I put Speedy at the 1, so who's my 2? I'm gonna tell you the kid that even if I wanted to, that I can't leave out, because he was the most ferocious player that I coached. He just, man, that was Khalid El-Amin. Khalid El-Amin was
I love his name.
God.
Love the name, baby.
When I tell you, man, he feared no one. We went to a tournament in LA, and we were playing against Shea Cotton squad. Now, for people out there who don't know, Shea Cotton was LeBron before LeBron. Shea Cotton was Mr. Everything. Their team, Southern Cal, had not lost in 2 years, I was told. So we had to play him in the semi, okay? Sonny has sent us these sweatsuits. The sweatsuits had hoodies on the sweatsuits. They had a kid named Kenny Bruner, who was Mr. Everything, their guard. But he was also a gang member. And as we're walking out after the game before we had to play there, now I think it's the semi. Gang members are doing signs to him. And we're like, here we go. We're in LA, here's what we got to deal with, right?
Right.
Now, Riverside was playing also. I'm trying to remember. Now, this is the year, guys, in which where they won everything, okay? They went 56-1. Well, guess what? I was there in the game they lost. They lost to Baron Davidson out there, okay? So they loaded with Elton Brand and Ron Artest, Eric Barkley, Reggie Jesse, Anthony Glover. They're loaded. Now, again, let me say this to the people out there. This is why it bothers me that people keep saying, or Ron Artest said Lamar was on that team. Lamar was not on that team. He was with us. It's the same year. I think you do a disservice to the other kids on Riverside when you say Lamar was on the team too. That's not true.
Right.
Respect all those kids that you had on that team. Stop saying Lamar was on that team. Lamar was with us. So we out there, and I tell the guys, put the sweatsuits on. It's like 90 degrees now. Put them on. We're going to put the hoodies over our head. And by the way, Khalid, you could call Coach Carl Hobbs because he was scared. Coach Carl Hobbs is a Rutgers now, but at the time he was assistant coach at UConn. Okay?
Right.
He's recruiting Khalid and Lamar and everybody else, right? We had like eight, actually the whole team was studs. It was 12 Division I players on the team. Again, this was before there was a grassroots team in every corner, okay?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the guys put the hoodies on, and we march in there, single file. We march. So this was before the Oakland soldiers. We march in there, single file, okay? So people are like, what the? The game gets started. Here's what was different though about this tournament. It was called the Izzy Washington Tournament. you had to play 5 guys in the first quarter. Then you had to play another 5 guys in the second quarter. And you had to mix in maybe the 11 and 12 man in between if you had more than those 10 guys. Okay? Man, we were down 12 points after the first quarter. I saved Khalid for the second quarter. I think I had Lamar in the first quarter. And we had Kareem Shabazz, a 7-footer. And Shea Cotton came from the baseline. Kareem Shabazz put his hand up. Kareem Shabazz is already 7 feet, so his hand is up like 7'5". Shea Cotton came from the baseline. He went up, and he saw Kareem's hand go up. He went under Kareem and came back and dunked. And I was like, oh, Lord, Winter. I said, oh, Lord, we're in trouble over here. Because I had been hearing about him, but I hadn't seen him play. To this day, it's one of the best dunks I ever saw in my life. Unreal. So, but now the second quarter start. Khalid is going to work. So now the gangs are starting to do some gang signs. So all of a sudden, somebody's taking a foul shot. I look at Khalid. He's doing gang signs back to them. I said, oh, my God. Like, I ain't scared of y'all. Dude, we end up winning the game. The place goes crazy. But you know what? You know what I do? Chill. Put them back on. I make everybody put the hoodies on. And we walk out single file again. Back. People went crazy. Okay? That was the Panthers back then. Right? And then we get outside, we laugh, and then we were like, let's go back in and watch the other game.
Where's Elamine from?
Minnesota.
Okay.
By the way, I'm one of the reasons why they changed the rules about, only bordering states, okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Who's the fifth? Who's the fifth, Guy?
Huh?
Who's the fifth? That's only 4, baby.
That's 4? That's 3 or 4?
That's 4.
That's 4?
That's 4.
Claxton.
Woo!
Lamar.
Speedy.
Yeah, Speedy, Lamar, Elamine. Nah, that's 3, I think.
Wally's Serbiak.
Oh, Wally, yeah,
Wally
4,
Serbiak. That's 4, yeah.
So again, I could tell you the 5th is Charlie Villanueva. I could tell you that is Danny Green. I could tell you, and I'm gonna say this to you, this kid was phenomenal. I kept telling people back in the day, but he didn't get in the pros right away. He had to wait. But I kept telling people this was one of the best kids I had. Lance Thomas was a tremendous player. Back
still in the league. Yeah,
right? Exactly. But back, remember now, he went down to Duke. All he was doing was pick and roll.
Right.
Pick and roll. All right. And I told him, be careful. But anyway, so there's a bunch of guys I could say. Lee Allen. By the way, one of my favorite all the time was a kid by the name of Taquan Dean, who was unbelievable. He was the second best shooter I ever had and ended up going to Louisville. He was phenomenal. Okay.
I remember him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I could say Zenith Hamilton because, like I tell people all the time, Zenith took us to the top. Lamar and Speedy took us over the top. Okay. So we could compete against everybody with Zenith, but Lamar and Speedy allowed us to be able to beat anyone. Okay. Mm-hmm. But the kid who I had to say would get that 5th spot, and I really believe if not for his injuries, he would have been there, is Jason Frazier. Jason Frazier was like Mutombo. He blocked anything around the rim. He ran the floor. He was the best defensive player we ever had. And when we first had him, the stud of the team was supposed to be his high school teammate, a kid named Tristan Thompson, who ended up going to St. John. He was coming off the bench. And what ended up happening is we go down to North Carolina, and we're playing at Duke. It was the Bob Gibbons tournament. And in North Carolina, the great thing about Bob Gibbons, you play game at North Carolina, one at NC State, and one at Duke. Yep. So we're playing the game. Our big man gets hurt. I'm trying to remember who it was. I don't know if it was like Kenny Adeleke or somebody like that to get hurt. So now I have to put Jason in the game. He held the kid in the second half to no points. The kid was Eddie Curry. And that's when I realized that, wow. So now I said, okay, we're going to sacrifice offense, but now we're going to have defense. he is the second ferocious kid I ever had. They never wanted to lose. So because of what he did for us back then, and let me just say this, in 2001, because that's the year. In 2001, we won 6 tournaments that year. We won something that had never been done. We won what you would be considered the Triple Crown, which was the 3 big Adidas tournaments that summer. There was one at Hofstra. Then there was the Las Vegas Big Time in Vegas. Then it was the Pump and Run in LA. We won all 3. We beat Carmelo Anthony in the semi in Vegas. We beat Darren Williams. Now, y'all remember, Darren Williams, pro. We beat his team in the championship, Texas team in LA. We beat Chris Bosh's team 3 times. And they had Ike Diego, who was another pro, and a kid named, Daniel Horton? I don't know if it was Daniel or the other one. They were loaded. But back then, remember that, there weren't as many teams. So teams came loaded.
Loaded, yep.
At the time. I mean, like the Bronx Ravens were loaded at that time.
Yes,
they had Alan Ray on the team. They had Francisco Garcia, on that team. They were loaded, at that time. Okay, I mean
Gary DeCesar.
So when you had team, and guys, think about that. That's 2001. Okay, now let me tell you something. Let's reflect back on history a little bit. We go to Bob Gibbons in the beginning of the year, and we're loaded. But before that, Sebastian's brother, Danny, came to me and said, hey, Tony's going to start a team, Gary, so we can't play with you this year. Because Bassie was playing with me the year before in 8th grade. So another story, because that'll take 8 hours with Bassie.
I'm part of that one, too.
Yeah, you're part of that one, too. Okay? So I'm like, I get it. You know what? I understand it. With Bassie, we can win games by 20. Without him, we'll win by 10. So it's all good. That's honestly the way I looked at it. And Khalid, as you said, you were part of that because we thought we had Ramel Bradley. Well, Ramel Bradley went and played with Tiny. So think about the fact that Tiny had Sebastian, Ramel Bradley, who went to Kentucky, Chris Taft, who went to Pitt and became a pro. So Tiny had 3 pro, and he had your boy Kamar Clark.
Yep.
To Miami and ended up at DePaul. Tiny was loaded. Those were the type of teams that we had to play against every single game, back then. And we won all 3 chips. Okay.
Let me ask you this, because you're going down a lot of New York City legends who played for you, who dominated the summers back then. But when you look now at the New York City high school divisions, it's hard to find New York City products. Is that because they don't exist? What's going on with New York City prospects? Do they exist, or are they all going to prep school, or what is it?
Yeah, I was gonna say to you that they're going to prep school right now. I think it's one of the things. I was telling someone, before this particular story, okay, and keep this in the context I'm about to say to you. When the Dream Team went overseas and dominated everyone, what they did was they awoken the world, and the world started to play more, and it started to get better. Okay, back then with the Lamar Odom team and the Riverside team, think about those 2 teams, juggernauts. So when we were playing across the country and beating people, we awoke the rest of the country. So now other people started to play, and I even remember a couple of guys that said to me, Gary, watching you guys play motivated me to get involved and start to get kids. So now let's say in Texas where kids were just playing football, now they're starting to play basketball. In Florida, where they were just playing football, now they're starting to play basketball. We awoke the country. So that's why I said we don't own it anymore because of that. I mean, the kids were there, just that they weren't. They were playing other sports. Just like I said to you, in Long Island, we were playing other sports. And then all of a sudden I come along now, I'm making them play basketball all year round. So that's what's happening across the country and everywhere else. So now we have to share that space. So our kids may not be, and then here's the next thing. Remember this, they spread all over the place, meaning that there's 2,000 teams right here. So there's a kid that could be really good, but you don't know it because he's playing on Jolie Bubba, okay? But you're not realizing that. You take a look at the kid, the kid out there in Long Island, I'm forgetting the kid's name right now, for Brentwood. All right. And so back in the days, he was playing for Riverside or someone, people would be like, oh, okay, that's what was happening. But now he's just a player, a very good player on a team. A lot of our guys, here's the thing about New York, and I've said this way back when. I was asked way back when by a newspaper, yeah, what do you see the problem with Grassroots and everything else? I said, I don't see enough parents' involvement. The parents are there. They shove their kids out the door, and we got to go and do everything. That's a problem to me. They should support their kids. Okay. 10 years later go by. Again, what do you see what the problem is with Grassroots? These goddamn parents, man, they're out of damn control. I don't even know why they're in everything. So be careful what you wish for.
Right.
So, yeah. So now with these kids, because of New York City the way it is, what do? We take them out the element. We move them. What's the kid a year ago that left New York from Christ the King?
The big kid.
Big man?
The big kid.
Illinois?
Yeah. Huh?
What,
right.
Kid went to Illinois?
No.
You talking about Cisse? I think.
Yeah. Cisse. So the kid was at Christ the King. What does he do? Goes to Memphis. Now, I don't know how the hell he ended up in Memphis, but he goes to Memphis. Okay? You think about people like that. Even Cole Anthony, he left.
Right.
And Khalid, you remember back in the days because you went through it. Jamar Lamb left you and went to Oak Hill.
Oak Hill, right.
Yeah, like people don't understand. Khalid had some loaded teams, and you know what? Khalid had a mind for finding young kids. Khalid brought Lance Stevenson to my damn house in 7th grade. Think about that. In 7th grade. Okay?
Right.
And in 7th grade, we had him playing with the older boys, with Danny Green and Joakim Noah. We had Lance playing because Lance he wasn't scared of no one. I had never seen a 7th grader like that. Okay,
right.
That was
he was a wolf.
Oh,
he was a wolf on the court.
He was a wolf on the court. Period. Yep. So there are guys out there. It's just that because of what we were so used to, that we're not seeing the diamond, in the rough, so to speak. Okay. And here's the other thing we do. Like I heard someone talking and talking about we don't have this, we don't have that, and somebody said, "Well, this is a kid in Long Island." I said, that's Long Island. That's not here.
Right.
Yo, hold up. Where did Elton Brand come from?
Right.
Okay, but we claim him.
Look at Donovan. They do that to Donovan Mitchell too.
Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Dr. J.
right.
Come on. Okay, you don't want to claim Dr. J? Okay. All right. If you're not gonna claim the other kids in Long Island, then you can't claim Dr. J.
Right.
You understand? Like, come on, man. We're New York. Period. Yep. So that's what I see. It was easy back in the days because the idea that Tiny and I had so many pros just within our 2 programs, you don't see that anymore because now you have a parent who has a kid. He's holding on to that kid. Now he gets 10 other kids to surround his son. Okay? And so sometimes it's hard to see that. Now, you asked me earlier, one of the questions was, who's that kid that's coming up? And that kid is Imani Bates.
Oh, yeah.
Imani Bates is the closest thing I have seen to Penny Hardaway or Kevin Durant, because he's like 6'7", 6'8". He has the handle of Penny, dunks like Penny. I mean, I'm in love with this kid. And
he played in your Las Vegas tournament, right?
He played in our Las Vegas tournament. He had 35. Okay. He had 35 in one of the preliminary games. Okay, he wasn't even like the headliner. He was in one of the preliminary games. But he was unreal. I said, what? So to me, he's the number 1 player regardless of class. Okay, he's that good.
And I wonder about him because he's been on the radar for so long. He's one of those guys. You're like, damn, he's still in high school because you heard about him for so long. Are you worried about that at all? Like in terms of?
No, because you know what? I see the hunger in him. I see the way the father is with him. Okay, because that's the other thing that I evaluate. Okay, now, like I'll give you a quick story, and again, Khalid was part of this. In that, in 2001, I already told you our team how good we were. Well, we had Lenny Cook. Okay, also back then, and we had lost in Rumble in the Bronx right here. We lost in Rumble in the Bronx, and Lenny got thrown out. I go back to my boys, Nate Cadigan, one of my assistants, and Sterling Nunnally. All right, and we go to Tyrone Green's house. Tyrone Green was he was my guy. And he's the one actually that bought me Joe Kim Noah. So we at his house. Tyrone was also the guy that bought me Lenny Cook 2 years before. I said, Ty, I have to make a decision. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, I got to take somebody off the team. And it was 3 guys. It was Lenny and 2 other guys. And I'll tell you who they are in a minute. And I said, because I don't think they're going to be able to play together because one of the kids, now that he's going to be out of prep school, I was going to need him to play too. So now it's going to be, a problem with the team, so to speak. He said, well, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to take Lenny Cook off the team. So Nate Cadigan fell off the couch. And he said, Charles, are you out of your damn mind? He's the #1 player in the country. What are you thinking of? And I said, here's the thing, Nate. He doesn't want to listen. And eventually, he's going to suck the straw. I am tired of him having to have a shouting match after, doing the game, me taking him out, doing the timeouts, whatever. And he still ends up with his 35, okay? But he just wanted to score. I'm trying to win too. So I think we're better off letting him go early than late. Because otherwise, we're going to hinder the other kids because Lenny was such a dominating figure that the other kids weren't going to get a chance to grow. And I felt that by taking Lenny off, I was going to give those other 2 a chance to grow, okay, because I believed in it. But the other thing I believed in, guys, was, and no disrespect to anyone, but the upbringing and the people they had surrounding them also, I felt was going to be a positive impact. So one of the kids was Curtis Sumter, okay, whose parents were one of the best parents I've ever dealt with in my life. And I remember when, and then there was a woman by the name of Debbie Bortman. Debbie was terrific. And Debbie had been coaching, believe it or not, my 6 and under team the year before with Lenny and Curtis and them. So, but now her son wasn't getting that much playing time on our team. So she wanted to do her own thing. I said, okay.
Right.
And you go play with Debbie. All right. Remember that? So
yeah, she started the Wolfpack. Yep.
She started the Wolfpack. There you go.
Yep.
So I said, Lenny, you can go play with Deb. All right. And Curtis had said, look, coach, I got a chance to go play with Debbie now. Don't screw me, coach, because he wasn't getting as much playing time because, some of the other guys. I said, Kurt, I'm not going to start you. You're going to get an opportunity. I believe in you. Now you have to believe in yourself. Cool. Well, who was the other kid? Because there's another kid, right? I said it was 3 kids. So who was the other kid that I decided to keep over Lenny? Well, that kid turned out to be Charlie Villanueva, okay, who ends up playing in the league for 12 years. Right? Doubt now, people might look at it now and say, well, that was easy. No, it wasn't. Not then. Lenny Cook was LeBron before LeBron. He was the #1 player in the country, could do whatever he wanted to. Lenny Cook might be the only player that I've ever coached in which when we stepped on the floor, we were already 10 points ahead because they feared him that much. That was Lenny Cook. Okay? So that's what's so messed up about Lenny. Lamar Odom is the only kid I ever coached in which he didn't have to score a point to be the best player on the floor. But Lenny Cook was a kid. We were up 10 before the ball even went up. People feared him that much.
Fear factor. Yeah. He was a man-child. He was definitely a man-child.
Hey, it was unreal. It was unreal.
Hey, Guy,
yep.
How do you think that the circuit's going to be looking after COVID? Like after, when spring pops up again and, God willing, things might get somewhat back to normal. How do you think the circuit is going to look? Because remember, before all of this went down, there were scandals going on.
So I think the pandemic has allowed people in some ways to forget about the scandal, so to speak, okay?
Right.
Last year, because of the scandal, we were not allowed to have college coaches in Vegas for the first time after 9 years. We still ended up with 600 teams. Now, remember what I told you. When we started out, 9 out of the 12 tournaments we went through in a year were during the dead period. Back in those days, tournaments ran until the end of October. Hell, they damn near ran the week before high school started back then. All right? So a point that I'm making is that last year we had Imani Bates, we had Kate Cunningham's team, we had, and this team was phenomenal. We had the kid Jalen Suggs, who was phenomenal. I thought I was watching OJ Mayo all over again, you know. And the number one player in the country right now, Chet Holmgren, they were playing. John Kuminga was playing for the Texas team, so he was out there, you know, playing. So the kid Mikhail Maker that just come into Howard was a top 15. He was playing. Then you had LeBron's son, Bronny, and LeBron in the gym for every game. We had 600 million views for the big time during the dead period. So when you ask me a question like that, man, it's gonna be like a fire hydrant and you open it up. Okay? Because people can't wait. Because you know what? Your kids, all you know how to do is play. And you're telling them to, you know, to stay inside. Now here's the other thing, guys. Remember this. We're not playing here in New York. But those Republican states are playing.
Yeah, they're playing in Florida, right?
Florida's playing. Georgia's been playing. Texas has been playing. Indiana's been playing. They've been playing. And I've had calls from people saying, well, look, a lot of states are not going to start till January. Come on, Gary. You're doing something, right? So they cannot wait to get out the gate. Now, here's the issue now. The issue is going to be, if high school starts in January, well, when will it end? Because now you're going to overlap into the grassroots season. Right. That's where the conflict is. How will they do that schedule? But there's no doubt that if the virus is over, teams are going to be out there, you know, playing. Will there be some parents who are nervous? Absolutely. I would be. Okay. Right. But again, so let's say instead of 800 teams, maybe you get 400 teams or 500 teams, but teams are going to go out there and play.
So you didn't play in Vegas this year? No,
we canceled. You know, we canceled our event. Thank God, it was the right thing to do. And the governor has said, hey, you know, we prefer for y'all not to, you know, to do anything. And it just made it easier in my life not to jump on no plane. I mean, you know, I'm not sure if I've been more than 10 feet away here, you know, since March, you know, from my office over here. Okay, I'm not playing. You know, I don't know how much time, you know, God has left on me, man, but I'm trying to hold on to him. So
how do you think the circuit is going to look like? Is you know, assuming that there's still an EYBL, but you think Under Armour and Adidas will still exist?
Yeah, they will. Under Armour is going to be a little tougher, but I also know Puma is trying to get in the game too. So if all of a sudden Under Armour doesn't, you know, come in, then all of a sudden, you know, Puma might jump into that lane. Okay. Right. And the other thing is this and that, and I chuckle sometimes with people like, well, you're gonna have to go back to the days the way we started. And a lot of these guys don't know how to do that. Because, you know, their whole life they be getting that shoe deal, you know, money. Right. But the mom and pop shop, it's gonna be no different to them. They'll be playing. Yeah. Regardless. So the studs will just find a way to go in the mom and pop shop. So the kids will be playing.
Right. Right.
What are some other kids besides Bates, you know, young kids that really have caught your eye?
Well, I can't believe my mind just went blank. My man, I can't believe this. The young boy in San Diego. I can't believe.
San Diego.
It's amazing. My mind just went blank. Yeah, he plays with Compton Magic, and he's.
Not Mikey.
Yeah, Mikey.
The freshman.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Mikey's a social. Mikey, my apologies, Mikey. All right, and yeah, your god sister Shay will kill me. Sorry, I drew a blank.
He just transferred to a school in Carolina.
Right.
Oh, did he make it official?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he just transferred to a school in Carolina. Yep.
I've been so busy, guys, with my new organization, ABIS. I have to admit to you.
Yeah.
When did this happen? What day was this?
I think they made the announcement yesterday, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
A couple days ago, yep.
Yeah, because that makes sense why I don't know, because I was just on the phone with Shay a week ago. Okay.
So,
He's real, though?
I like Mikey. Now, I think Mikey's issue is going to be, is he going to grow? Okay, I think
Right.
that's the thing. Now, I like the kid, Chet Holmgren. I really do. I do like, Chet. Chet's issue is going to be he's got to gain strength on his body. But let me say this to you last year. He was the coolest white kid I had ever seen. He was walking on that floor with that. He was walking with our strut. He was doing our strut better than us, out there. I'm like, what the? Yo.
We saw one with a lot of swag last night playing for Miami, baby.
Oh. Hero. Yeah.
Oh, Tyler Hero, man. Same type of strut. So exactly. And so I like Chet.
He's a 7-footer, right? Chet?
He's a 7-footer.
Yeah.
I like him. Patrick Baldwin is good. Patrick Baldwin is good. The kid out of Milwaukee. He's he's good. There's a couple kids, out there, and I felt bad for them because they didn't get an opportunity. There were some kids I thought maybe had a chance to move up. They didn't get those opportunities, man. It's it's tough. And guys, by the way, I really like Bronny. And as I said to LeBron, last year, I gave him a nickname of subtle because everything he did was just so subtle, but all the right things, the right pass, shoot at the right time, run the floor on the lane at the right, pace. He never says a word to the referee. He just go on to the next. They have done a phenomenal job with that kid, all right? And what I was trying to remind people a year ago is like, he's 14 years old, y'all. Give him a chance. I mean, LeBron James come across once a decade, if that. Like, stop comparing him to his dad. His dad, when it's all said and done, you can make an argument, will be the number one player of all time.
Right.
So let's not do that to this young man. Let's allow him to be him. Okay?
To grow.
It's amazing in what social media has created. All right. And I like him. I just like his subtleness. And if he grows.
Right. But you would think he has a growth spurt in him because of LeBron.
You would think he has a growth spurt in him because of his dad and everything else. So, if he grows, boom. Look, listen, Lamar Odom in one summer grew, 7 or 8 inches.
Yes,
wow.
You never know.
That's like Anthony Davis.
There you go. Anthony Davis, same thing. Anthony Davis, 6'2".
We're on with Gary Charles. Let me just run down his credentials real quick again, in case you missed it. Grassroots basketball legend, founder, coach, New York Panthers, ABC, D-Camp, assistant director, Wall Street exec, founder, president of Las Vegas Fab 48, Big Time 20, and finally, and most recently, founder of Advancement of Blacks in Sports. Talk to us about that a little bit. Like what got you to form that organization, and what are you guys trying to do?
ABIS, we call it ABIS for short, for people out there. Like you said, Advancement of Blacks in Sports. When I watched the George Floyd situation, I really felt I had just watched a lynching, on the screen. I could not believe this was going on in 2020. Okay, I was in shock. But I was tired of talking the talk. I felt that we need to walk the walk. Okay. And I put a video out, and the video went viral. And in the video, I said to the white people, I said, I understand right now because we're protesting, you're uncomfortable. But understand as Black people, we're uncomfortable every day. I understand that you're upset because we're burning some buildings, and no one's saying that we should be doing that. But I wish your ancestors felt the same way when they burned down Black Wall Street in Tustin, when they burned down Rosewood, Florida, a whole town, both of them. I wish they would have felt the same way, all right? White coaches, your silence is coming out very loud to me. But Black coaches, what are we gonna do about it? Grassroots coaches, what are we gonna do? We possess the oil and we keep giving it away.
Right.
It's all about the money. What about HBCU? Did we ever consider maybe sending some of our guys to HBCU to help them out? That's how quickly things would change. So that was the premises of it. So I reached out to Coach Dave Later from DePaul, who everyone knows one of my closest, buddies. I reached out to Leonard Hamilton, who most people don't know is a very close friend of mine from Florida State. Then I reached out to some of the grassroots community, but the top shoe guys. Because let me explain something to you and what people don't understand. Because I had guys, little program, man, you didn't call me. Because let me tell you why. 1% of the country makes the decision for the other 99% of the country. So I need to start with the top guys before I can get to y'all. Because if I brought y'all on, no one's listening. But people will listen to the top 1%. Because if I told you guys who you think make this decision in college basketball, if I asked you for 5 names, most of us will probably pick the 5 names that who they are. So Khalid, if I said to you, give me 3 names that have the authority in college basketball, who are 3 of the schools you say, or 3 coaches you would say?
All right, you got to go Coach K. You got to go my guy in Kentucky, Calipari. Maybe Roy Williams.
Self,
you want
maybe.
4? Oh, Bill Self, absolutely. Who's 5?
Izzo.
Oh, yeah, Tom Izzo.
You
Michigan
understand?
State, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, but my point is, they're the decision makers. Okay.
Yep.
So I needed to start with some of the top Black Division I coaches and the top grassroots coaches. So that's how we started that. But as we were talking and bonding, because now it's about bonding, and we're talking about situation that we're in. And as I said to these guys, you guys eventually want to become coaches. I'm talking about the grassroots coaches. But if you don't help these guys, there's not going to be any spots for you to come to. So we need to help each other out. And no one is telling you you have to force it. But I'll give you an example. These kids get 5 visits. One of those visits can't go to a Black coach. One out of the 5? Really? So anyway, the more we talked about, the more these guys like, wow, you know what, you're right. Then I said, hey, guys, let's reach out to the women. So I asked Coach Leonard Hamilton to reach out to Vivian Slinger. He did. I asked Dave later to reach out to Dawn Staley. He did. Now we have both of them on. Coach Slinger called me because I said to Coach Slinger, I was at Cheney State when you were coach. And she was like, what? So immediately after the call, she calls me. And now we started to reminisce. And she said to me, there's a woman I need you to call. I said, who's that? She said, her name is Felicia Hall Allen. And she said, Gary, she knows everyone. She can help. So I did. Day later on, I called her. The best call I ever made. Because now she brought me 35 more women coaches. Okay? The Nikki Fargus of LSU. Joni Taylor of Georgia. Okay? The Jackie Carson of Furman. Charmaine Smith, Cal Berkeley. I mean, just on and on and on and on. I'm like, whoa. I mean, this woman is like powerful. And then I said, we cannot call ourselves Advancement of Blacks in Sports and we just doing basketball. I have a bigger vision. And Leonard's like, come on, Gary. I'm like, Leonard, we have to push on. And he's like, man, your vision is much bigger than mine. And I reached out to baseball. Now we have Bo Porter is the lead, our lead guy for baseball. He brought in Willie Randolph, Gary Sheffield, Andre Dawson, a former manager from the Baltimore Orioles. And let me just say this. And just because there's advancement for Blacks in sports does not exclude whites or anyone else. This is for anyone that is prepared to help advance Blacks in sports. Okay? Right. So we have track and field now, gymnastic. I hung up the phone earlier from a head coach from Temple who coaches fencing. I didn't know Blacks were in fencing. Now she's going to be on our Zoom tonight. So I have fencing, gymnastic. Okay? So the one of the gentlemen that's on track and field from Florida, he's going to be the national Olympic coach. He's on the group. So these are the type of people that are part of our organization, because you know what? There's strength in numbers. It's so important for people to know that we're in this together. And you know what, guys? I think the best thing I've seen with everyone is that my first email, I said, we're all kings and queens, but please leave your ego at the door, because this isn't about you. This is about us. And the people have been phenomenal about that. What do you need me to do, Gary? Like, I am so impressed with Mike Anderson from St. John. Mike has just been like 007. You barely know he's there, but he's there.
Right.
He just listened. Then he'll go, I'm like, Mike, what do you need, Gary? Mike, I'm on it, Gary. Unreal. Like, just good people. And God, let me tell you this. Kwanzaa Martin, when I say electric speaker, I didn't know that until I met him. Kwanzaa was phenomenal. You know, and then we have our couple OGs, the Leonard Hamilton, the Kelvin Sampson. You know, I always tease Leonard. I say, you know, Leonard, you're like our Frankie Beverly. All the blacks know you, but the whites don't. Okay?
That's
you know,
true.
I mean,
That's true.
You know, you are OG.
Yeah.
So it's been phenomenal to see the people to come on there. A couple weeks ago, we had a guy come in. His name is Euless Payne. Come to find out, Euless Payne is the first African-American to have been named a CEO of a Major League Baseball team, Milwaukee Brewers.
Wow.
We've had conversation with the Biden campaign. They've come on to speak. Now, the only thing we're talking about is voting because we're a 501c, so we're not trying to mess up our 501c.
Right.
But the idea that they thought enough of us to come and speak. Greg Robinson, who is now the executive director of NABC, and Michelle Obama's brother, came on and spoke. So, and people are listening because we're trying to accomplish, you know, something. We're not just talking the talk, man. We're walking the walk. We're making some things happen. We met a couple of times with the Black Caucus about legislation because we could say whatever we want, but unless we get some, you know, some of this legislation stuff to happen, doesn't mean anything. All right. And so I can't just keep coming on these Zoom calls with my nice suit on and my hat and you know, and just talking for the sake of talking. We have to make some things happen. And that's what we're trying to do.
Right.
No, man. Gary, really appreciate it. We won't take up all your time today.
That's good, man, because I got things to do.
You were generous enough to give us an hour. Really appreciate it.
You're the first one. You're the first one.
Hey,
yes.
hey.
Clap it up for Gee.
Hey,
Word up.
Hey, Jamal, he knows I would have killed him if I wasn't.
Word up.
My man,
next,
my guy.
Up next.
Up next. And we'll call on you again. Hopefully we get you back on here sometime soon.
I'm here, fellas. All right, I'm here.
All right.
Hey, Khalid, I'll see you tonight on the Zoom.
Okay, baby.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right.
Take care.
Take care.